does Imri Canteros not seem like the type of bitch who owns a guinea pig?
Start your sublight engines. It's time for RuPaul's Pod Race, a queer Star Wars podcast. Welcome back to our Andor discussion. This week we're talking about the finale of the season, Rix Road. Sadly, Noah still couldn't be with us. He did escape ISB, luckily, but he's on the run. Hopefully we'll get back in touch with him by next week for our wrap-up. We're only going to be discussing this episode. Next week we'll do our little wrap-up of the whole season. But anyway, I'm Jess. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on social media at KawaiiDathanYo. And my gender this week, I fear my gender is mean, but my gender is don't kiss your stalker.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good gender.
That's all I have to say on that is don't kiss your stalker.
Yeah, I will say about that scene, and because I really don't have many more thoughts about it than this, is there's that, like, that silence from her after she says, I guess I should say thank you. I suppose I should say thank you, whatever the fuck she says. And just, like, he has a reaction, and she's just like,
yeah.
Anyways, and then it cuts away.
The silence was deafening there.
No, literally.
You could see her entire life and, like, every choice she's ever made flash before her eyes, being like, the fuck? Like, acting was incredible because it was so uncomfortable.
Hi, my name is Mel. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me on social media at Melvin Culpa and on TikTok at Grunkle Rex. Why did I say it like I was a newscaster? That's interesting. Anyways, my gender this week is, repeat offender of prison labor usage, Orson Krennic.
No.
First Aegean Oceans, now Caass-ian Andor. Who is fucking next? Galen Urso? Dude,
yeah,
wait,
I was gonna be like, wasn't Galen also technically?
Goddamn minute.
Orson Krennic, you're not seeing heaven.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, we knew that
I would be surprised if he was. I'd be like, there's some mistake here.
Like,
I'm sorry, you shouldn't be here.
Just like when I watched the finale of Supernatural and for some reason John Winchester was there. Anyway, listen to the mysteries podcast.
I'm not saying anything because I don't want to get removed from this podcast. I cannot confirm.
Also,
I will not confirm or deny if I agree with Klaudia or not.
Also, shout out to Mackenzie on Twitter because she was like a distinct lack of Gralix on the Death Star in that last scene. As we know from Thrawn Alliances, the Death Star is getting its ass beat by rats.
Also, it's something I really need to make, like, hit home, really make clear to our listeners who maybe are not as deep in the shits as we are vis-a-vis, like, the books and comics and whatnot. It is abundantly clear, it kind of mentioned in A New Hope, that everyone fucking hates the idea of the Death Star. Like, until it actually works, it's just like, guys, we're funneling so much money into this fucking stupid-ass golf ball in the middle of nowhere. What is this going to do? And then suddenly it's got, like, a slaybeam, and everyone's like, oh, okay, maybe she made a point. And I just think it's so funny.
That's one of the funniest parts of Rogue One, because, like, Tarkin, through the whole way, he's like, I think it's a dumb idea. And then as soon as Krennic proves that it's not a dumb idea, he's like, actually, this is my project now. And, like, if I was Krennic, yeah, I would be kind of mad. But, like, because at first he was like, that's stupid. He was kind of like Darth Vader being like, that's dumb. And
okay.
And then he takes it over.
My name is Ollie. I use any pronouns. You can find me on social media at OllieFresh. That's fresh with a PH. And my gender this week is, well, it's the story of a guy named Brazo. And he was fine on his own, but he met this rest of this crew, and now they're the Brazo Bunch. And that's his little team that's leaving.
I'm really excited that Disney greenlit an Andor spinoff.
The Brazo Bunch?
Yeah, the Brazo Bunch about Brazo with his little guys.
Tony Gilroy did say, he was like, I think we should shake the table a little bit about genre. Like, why hasn't there been, like, a Star Wars, like, 3-camera comedy? He's gonna do the Brazo Bunch.
I see. With the 2.5 men. Why did I give there an extra man there? 2.5 men? A vacation?
2.5 minors.
Get it? Because one of them is a minor and the other is a child.
Oh.
But
We can't.
I don't know if
keep
he's a
doing
minor, to be fair, TBF, but I am obsessed with that little guy. Shout out. As soon as he was creating that pipe bomb in the first like few minutes of the episode, I was like, okay, Chekhov's pipe bomb, let's go.
He was giving Gavroche. He was really like, I'm doing it to him.
Yeah, except for Gavroche cannot say the same vis-a-vis getting out alive.
Yeah, well, they all survive here, which was crazy. I was like, Tony, holy shit. I mean, I don't think they're gonna survive season 2, but
I do. Actually, if you look in the background of A New Hope, the new version, because you know how in the early 2000s they updated the original trilogy to like CG stuff. That's when they made New Jabba and whatever. I think that they are gonna do a new original trilogy, and in this time Brazo's gonna be in the background of all the scenes at the rebellion.
Yeah, if this show had come out in 2016 instead of now, I do believe that everyone would be like, oh my god, I think Bix is Rey's mom.
bold of you to assume they would say that about a non-white woman.
Well, see, here's the thing. People were saying that. I guess they were saying it more about Jin than they were about Caass-ian. But bitches were saying that about bitches from Rogue One, so who knows?
Shit was crazy. That was a crazy time when those trailers
I
were coming
remember
out.
early on in this podcast, I can't remember what I was Googling, but I came across perhaps one of the funniest fucking family trees I've ever seen in my goddamn life.
I remember this. Oh my god.
Where it was like the family tree was Galen and Lyra Urso. They had 2 daughters, Jin and I forgot the other one's name. I think the other one married Krennic, and I'm trying to remember who's
Married Krennic, a gay man?
Yeah, also a man who's probably like 20 to 30 years older than her.
Oh.
Why was I gonna say wow? So me? I know. I'm sorry. I canceled myself over that.
Jess is
Jess,
Ray's
do you have
dad?
something that you want? Jess, are you Ray's dad?
Yeah, actually, I'm
Wait.
Dathan, right? That's his name.
Yeah. You
That's
guys.
my real name. Actually, is Dathan.
Oh,
Dathan. Wait, KawaiiDathanYo.
Yeah.
Also, great news. Rey Skywalker Swagapino, guys.
So true. Just like Eli Manto.
This is how I can turn everyone
Just
into
like-
Swagapino.
just like Elzar Man. Hi
So
guys.
true.
I'm here to make a proposition.
Is Elzar Man Swagapino?
I've decided that he is.
Hi everyone, my name is Klaudia. My pronouns are she, her, and you can find me on social media at Klaudia Says. Since I got to watch these episodes early, I've been waiting to give this gender for like 2 weeks. My gender this week is Marva was the first brick thrown at Stonewall.
No.
I've been waiting to make this joke.
No, because seeing Brasso beat the fuck out of people with Marva's brick, so fucking true.
So sexy for that.
That's what I want people to do when I pass away. Turn me into a brick and then like use me as a weapon so that I can keep hating on the bitches and like death too.
Andy. We should call him Andy.
I've been calling him Andy.
Does
Andy
he...
Serkis. Not Andor the show. Just
I was
let's all talk about Andy Serkis some more.
I just need to say this off the bat. First of all, Brasso being like, let me memorize this little monologue as Marva is dying.
Wait, a monologue?
No.
Get it? Okay, sorry.
So I need to discuss the fact that it is a tradition on Ferrix to record a message before you die. Like you're fucking dying, you're like, hold on, I gotta give a monologue.
Death vlog.
To be fair, I would do that. I'd be like, hold on, I gotta make a TikTok.
Is that not what this podcast is?
What? Jess is like, I've sent someone to all of your houses. They're outside waiting to put you down. No, do you guys know the YouTube channel Ask a Mortician? Because I would love to see her videos in the Star Wars universe, because I know that shit would be buck wild. Being like, so what are the death monologues like on Ferrix?
You're like dying of fucking consumption. You're like, hold on, gotta put on my special outfit. Film it. So also, what happens if somebody dies and they can't give their monologue? Because this seems like a thing they do for every person.
Well, see, here's the thing. Actually, Ollie and I had a conversation about this because I was like, damn, do they pull up like this for everybody? Like, is this like oh no, Jim died again. Jim died again. Interesting that Jim is the most interesting Star Wars character. He has lived and dies perpetually. Why was I like he's like Kenny from South Park? Anyways,
he is. Oh my god. Wait, you know what? That's what they say.
A lot slurs about gingers.
Well, no, that's Cartman, Klaudia.
That's Cartman. First of all, fuck you.
Fuck you for not understanding Colorado culture like I do.
Okay.
Is that why you fell in love with them?
No, I learned it from Mel. I learned South Park culture because it's their favorite show because they're from Colorado.
That feels like a sweeping generalization.
Is that not your favorite show?
I've got terrible news. It's not.
Fuck! I'm an idiot. God damn it! I watched all of South Park so I could relate to you.
Shit.
Now you've never even seen.
Well, that's not true. My father would put me in front of the TV whilst it was on when I was an infant child. So my mom would come home from work and I would be in front of the television with eggs, rice, and ice cream watching South Park.
Fatherhood.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Ollie and I were talking about this while we were watching the episode. Like, if everyone gets this much like celebration of life when a person dies, like everybody in the community, she had to have been like, because she was a community leader, everyone pulled up like this and like she had a prepared death message. Like, I think everyone becomes a brick, but like I think it was only her that had like the girls pulling up.
Yeah, like Brasso's not beating the fuck out of some Imperials at like John from accounting's funeral.
At Tim's funeral? Because they had to have a funeral for Tim.
Oh shit.
But he was a traitor, so
Tim Brick.
Class traitors don't get bricks.
Also followed by my academic question. Where do you get to choose where your brick gets put? Is that how it works for everybody?
Mausoleum.
It's probably just like where it is time for it to go.
Because like, what if the girlies are fighting about it?
Also, I think just unrelated to that, but kind of related still. I think the reason why Tim didn't get a big ceremony isn't just because he was a class traitor, but it's also because they said like, you know, Marva was like a past president of the Daughters of Ferrix, which is like, you know, their slay little girl boss organization.
I don't know what this might be like a Tony Gilroy writing quirk or just something he does for this show or whatever. What is it with this man and the people working on this show and monologues? Because every time they whip out a monologue, they're like, we're about to slay the competition. We're about to do a monologue so good, it's about to blow your fucking mind. And they're like, oh, Nemec's already dead. He's about to still give an Emmy-winning performance. You're like, Jesus. You know what? Let's discuss Nemec's manifesto, because there were so many lines in there, but how the whole thing where he talks about how imperialism is not natural and that's why they have to try so hard. I was like, King, you are slaying so hard. Jesus.
No, because I will say, Nemec has the political compass that people think Luke Skywalker has.
Anybody ever claimed Luke Skywalker had a political compass? He is just like, he's like, yeah, I can do some skeet shooting. Let's go. Like,
can you imagine a world where Nemec was the chosen one instead of Luke? It would be like a picture, like that picture of like the utopian society.
To be fair, that is kind of Leia.
Also, followed by that's kind of Ezra Bridger.
Okay, true.
Really could be anyone other than Luke, and it would have been so much better.
I was gonna bring this up because I was like, who would love Ezra Bridger more than Brasso? Because like he is a scrappy.
They also have the
like,
same fucking outfit.
Orange. They
do, but also like when the kid in the beginning, like throws a little bomb or whatever, and I was like, that's Ezra Bridger core. That is Ezra Bridger core. Like they're slaying. I fear.
I think what's so cool about this show in its like connection to other pieces of Star Wars media is that like this is all happening at the same time that the first season of Rebels is happening, right? So like it's not out of the realm of possibility that like, you know, it's just how Nemec says in his little monologue where it's like this is happening elsewhere too, and we have to all keep doing it. We all have to play our part because one day the bow will break. And I think that's so cool. And it really made everything feel so much more connected.
Yeah, I like, and it's funny because Tony Gilroy's always like, I don't know what's going on in the rest of Star Wars. I don't really give a shit. And then like every time he like he says like or does exactly what is going on in the rest of Star Wars. You're like, King, you have accidentally made it more Star Wars consistently every single time, sir. And or when he's like, well, it's about the regular people and they're whatever. And I'm like, that is Han Solo. You have we have come back to the start, my king. You're so I saw someone had a Tumblr post that like knocked me over. Like, you know when you read a Tumblr post analysis and you like have to take a second, or it was like, oh, this isn't the story of how Caass-ian like figures out what he wants to fight for. It's how he figures out what he wants to die for. And I was like, Jesus, hold on. I need a minute. Hold on. The fuck? Like, and then I saw some people analyzing about how like it's not just like how like the opening of every episode is clearly the shape of the Death Star, and then we see the Death Star at the end, and how like we see the funeral, and then we've heard that funeral music the whole way. It's like how death has always followed Caass-ian through the narrative. It's not just that we know it's coming, that it's like the death is like preordained and it's like ingrained into the storytelling the whole way. You're like, oh Jesus, fuck, like oh, like the thing that spurs him to join is a funeral procession. Like all of it is, you're like, Jesus, this is so, how much of this was on purpose? I think all of it was because Tony, you're crazy for this. But like, anyways, we need to talk about Mon Mothma.
Oh, okay. No, because when it happened, I was like, oh my God, why are they arguing? I was like, oh, because I was like, she knows he's not going to turn the speaker off. And then she started speaking. I was like, you crazy son of a bitch. You're framing her husband.
As soon as she started talking, she was like, oh, can you do the thing? I was like, oh, no, she is not. And she was like, oh, you're gambling. And I was like, oh, she's done the girl boss. Now she does the gaslight. Next
season gatekeep. We'll get the gatekeep. She's gonna actually stop Leda from getting child married because she's like, I'm gonna gatekeep my daughter from you. Actually, I've decided.
See, I would argue that she does, and I feel like someone on Twitter, because we tweeted about this earlier, someone did, that she's gatekeeping Saw from joining the rebellion in a real meaningful way. TBF, also TBF. I don't know if Saw wants to be really involved because the girlies are not popping their pussies like he is, but like I feel like it's truly just a matter of time before she enters her truest form.
Yeah, I mean, there's something that's gonna push her over the edge. I also like, as we see in like the first shot with one of the first shots in the rebellion in Rogue One, it's Mon Mothma standing right next to Caass-ian. Like, clearly them joining up and him becoming her fulcrum spy is going to be a big deal. So it's like the culmination of this is going to be them meeting and girl bossing together. Or I just don't know what that's going to be.
That's going to be so funny. Yeah. The idea of next season, like the first episode. First of all, wouldn't it be fucked up if they decanonized Rogue One and Luthen kills Caass-ian? He's like, no, you're done.
He did. Didn't you know that actually the Caass-ian we see in Rogue One is Caass-ian with two A's in the beginning?
Stop!
Like Caassian. Caass-ian.
Caass-ian.
Yeah, Caass-ian. That's the one we see in Rogue One, because this Caass-ian actually got killed by Luthen. Off screen.
Off screen too, yeah. I like the idea of in season 2, like the idea of it's like the first episode, they're like da 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 da, and they're on Coruscant in Luthen's fucked up little antique shop, pawn shop, Jedi pawn shop, and Caass-ian, why do I always just call him Andor? Caass-ian is like, I don't know, dusting or something comically, like some little guy, and Mon walks in like, you sick son of a bitch, to Luthen, and he's like, and Caass-ian's like, OMG, you're so slay, can I work for you?
The idea of Caass-ian working with Luthen for a little while and then being like, damn, you're kind of crazy. I feel like I'm kind of messing with the vibe. Like, I feel like there's only lesbians on your team. And, like, no offense, I'm not one. I stand with the cause. Like, I love lesbians or whatever, but, like, I don't know if I can, like, be here. I think I need to go to, like, a different rebel cell if that's okay.
Guys, do you think that Geode was on Ferrix pretending to be a brick?
No, no, why?
No, because how do we know that? Here's the thing that we must also keep in mind. Geode is not a rock. He is simply rock-like.
Yeah,
So,
he's more like a brick.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, like, he wouldn't be able to take that sort of shape. Like, he's still a human. Like, I think that, if anything,
He's
he
still
would be
a
disguised as a
human.
boulder. I mean, he's a human to me. I'm
He's
sorry,
been-
sometimes I forget he's not a human. He's so lifelike.
This this is how we're getting Dwayne The Rock Johnson in Star Wars. He
No.
will be playing Geode.
That's a horrible fan cast. I would be fucking pissed.
On a totally separate note, I think we need to take a second today to talk about the lesbians. Because number one,
Yes.
they did not kiss on the mouth, and that was a little disappointing. But I didn't expect that to happen. The step away from the window, is that our new like gay code word? Like, what's going on there?
Come away from the window. Yes.
See, that confused me greatly. I thought she like had a gun to her back or something. Like I thought that like the Imperials had gotten her ass, and she was like, "Come away from the window." I did not read that as a come hither type situation.
It was. I just think it was a little fruity. I don't think it was like a. I don't think other than that.
I definitely think that, yeah, Vel wanted to have a nice little loving reunion with Cinta, but Cinta is more focused right now on like this is more important to me. Getting rid of all these Imperials. It's kind of sad. But yeah, that moment definitely I read it also as like Vel wanting to have a nice little moment, but Cinta being like, we are here to do our job and to focus because we're looking for Caass-ian Andor so that we can get to him first before the Imperials do.
On that like same note, I think that also kind of says a lot about their positionality in the world, right? Because like Vel has the ability, the mobility to step out of her place in the rebellion and become Velsartha, a man about town, a girl boss about town, on Coruscant, living it up, whatever. But Cinta, she will always, like they say it in the show, like she will always be for the rebellion first. Like that is her life, and that's what her lot is like. She's like, no, I'm dying for this cause. Like, you bitches, I don't have that ability to step away.
Because didn't they say they like killed her family, so that's why she's so serious about this? Yeah, understandable.
It was interesting to me in her most slay moment when she just fucking killed that guy. She doesn't kill him with like a blaster. She's like, how I started shooting. She whips out a knife.
She stabs his ass.
I was like, it was so like visceral. Again, Chekhov's lesbian knife, because it clearly was a choice. Like it clearly was specific. Because like, yeah, she could have had a little gun or whatever, but she didn't. And like, it's because like, she's got a job to do and she's like the ruthless one or whatever. And again, she cannot step away from this. I don't know, it felt very whatever. Also, not to be like real or anything, I said this on Twitter before, but I was like I don't know, seeing a gay person kill a fascist on screen in Star Wars is a bit cathartic this week of all weeks. I was kind of feeling it.
I think also, like, I mean, we talked last week about how Cinta is the one who's been like kind of also seeing this dumbass guy be a spy too in her local Starbucks, being the pretend barista. Maybe she was just really sick and tired of like seeing this man too. So she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you now. You were annoying. You were like the least spy. Like everyone knew you were a spy. Also, I did like her actress was so good in that scene because playing it off at first when he's just like, why are you following me, and like having it seem like Cinta at first was like concerned and like kind of like backing up, but it was just to lure him into her little trap so that she could stab him. I was just like, damn, girl, you're so you're so
Slay, literally.
yeah, literally slay.
Also, her outfit and her hair. I was like, drop your skin routine. Drop your drop. I don't know. You're looking so. You're so. I'm gay. Anyway.
So Cinta was working as this like almost like a barista, right? What do you think someone would have to order at Starbucks for you to immediately, as a barista, immediately be like, that guy's a fascist? Like, do you think she knew before she even saw him doing anything? Like, she was immediately like, what did he order to make him seem like that?
It would have to be like, someone came in and ordered this the other day, and I have to laugh. I have to say, what the fuck is wrong with you? A venti iced pumpkin spice latte with 8 shots.
Oh,
Red flag. Why do you need that much caffeine? Why? What's wrong with you?
it's giving thin blue line.
Blue line. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. I'm watching your moves. Be careful. Anyways.
Oh my god, Cinta!
No, probably like an Americano, but like something weird about the Americano. Americano with like heavy cream. No, a cappuccino with heavy whipping cream. That's impossible. You can't make that.
I feel like we're kind of in our Vel and Cinta era, because you're like, I'm having an issue and I'm working as a barista, and I'm like, do you want to hang out? And you're like, I have stuff I have to do. I'm like, okay, anyway.
And the fact that one of you is
on.
white and then the other one
I'm Caass-ian. I'm unemployed.
Well, I think he may have secured the bag now.
Yeah,
I think he may become employed.
Jess, what character would you feel like is your Andorkin?
Oh, Brasso.
Oh, I don't know if I'm slay enough to be Brasso. Brasso.
You are the most slay one here, and you always are ready to fucking deck a bitch. You are Brasso.
I have some things to say about Syril Karn. And I don't think that this is like a particularly controversial opinion. But this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. It's really hard to watch a situation that unfolds like this dude is literally a freak, like, to this woman, and then to put them in this situation and then to say, oh, that's like building up to something. Because you know what? Maybe it is, but I can't look at any of the interactions they have now, at least until Syril goes through some very major character development and says, like, what I do, basically everything that I have ever done is wrong. I cannot be, like, enjoying that, you know? I think it's, like, a very challenging subject to broach because, again, a lot of people have been in places like he and Deidre were in that first episode that they had their little interaction in outside of the ISB headquarters when he was basically like, I followed you here, and I'm in love with you. Like, that situation is so real for so many people. So it's really hard to see, like, a relationship, quote-unquote relationship, like, built off of that foundation. I'm very, very nervous about where that is going to go in the narrative, like, where that is going to carry over for next season. My main thought is that I'm just like, let's just be tactful in how we think about it and how we talk about it, because there are people who have been in a weird situation like that in the past who, unlike Deidre, who, not to say that she deserves being stalked and harassed, because obviously no one deserves that. However, it was funny as shit when she was getting kicked around. But, like, there are plenty of people who aren't fascists who've been through that kind of thing. So just let's be mindful with how we talk about it. And let's be mindful with how we talk about their interactions and how we talk about Syril Karn as character in general. I think that's something that really gets me, is we just need to make sure we're talking about it in an informed way that's not going to harm or upset the people around us who may have been in a very similar position that, you know, he put Deidre in that one episode. Again, not sympathize with Deidre. I loved seeing her get hurt. That was so slay. Not that I love violence against women either. not my plan.
Does she deserve to get beat with a brick for being a fascist? Yes. Does she deserve to get sexually harassed? No.
So true. Happy we found a common ground. I do think it was funny that Tony Gilroy did give an interview where someone was like, oh, well, people are interpreting it like, oh, they're kind of like romantic. And he was like, oh, they were like, was there a scene where they kissed? Like, was there a shot where they kissed? And he was like, oh, God, no, what? Oh, no, she was just kind of disgusted because she hadn't been touched in so long. And I thought that was funny.
I do relate to that sentiment of like, I also don't like to be touched. So, Deidre, I get it. Especially in that situation. That was weird. But I feel bad also because, yeah, I was like laughing when she was getting her shit rocked.
I'll feel bad.
Like, oh.
Okay, because the
shit rocked.
The difference is when Syril does it, Syril is a little piss baby, right? And he also loves fascism. I know it's like, oh, well, Tony Gilroy said he's not a fascist, but he's perpetuating a fascist regime, so call a spade a spade. Like, I'm not saying that this is, I think, another thing, too. Just because someone has a current ideology does not mean that their brain is fully formed in that way or that they have been fully molded. So it's like, for example, if someone was to put it into American politics terms, which might be good to contextualize. If someone was like, I'm a registered Republican and I always vote Republican, but I'm only that way because my parents are that way, they'd still be a Republican, even if they just like haven't had experiences and later to the line they might switch parties. They're still a Republican. It's very similar, not to compare republicanism with fascism.
I think you should.
But maybe. But if you say like this character perpetuates fascist regimes, takes part in a fascist regime, and actively is on the ground, is a street level bureaucrat for a fascist regime, he's a fascist. And maybe his ideology is not fully formed, and maybe he will end up going and doing different things or being inspired to be someone else. That'd be great. I'd be interested to see a character like that. But we have to be mindful that words mean things. Mel made a really good video about it on TikTok, so you should go check that out. If you're just listening, you don't watch our TikToks or whatever, but go check that out. I think it's an important distinction to make, especially right now with the way that it has left it. I know that's going to be the discourse that's coming, but I think it's important to talk about.
I think Tony Gilroy said that he didn't start as a fascist, but now he is. And I know that Mel, either last episode or in your video, talked about how I also agree. No, he started as a fascist and he just got more fashy because, like, being a corpo cop, you are a fascist. And specifically the ideals that he has, he just got more extreme and decided to act more on them. However, yeah, I think what Tony said was like, oh, like, he didn't start out that way, but he's getting there because like, he's basically an incel. I mean, I don't think we should feel bad for like comparing it to real politics. I mean, Tony was quite clear. He was very clear. I mean, he said in interviews and stuff like, oh, I try to compare it to a lot of different revolutions and stuff that have happened in world history and a lot of different cultures and stuff like that. But he also wasn't like, shying away from it either. I will say I am of the camp of, we've said this before on the show, I am of the camp of, I would like Syril Karn to be like a Javert type character, which Tony Gilroy has said he thinks of him as a Javert type character who does not get redeemed, who is a story and an exploration of what it means to be driven to madness by this like idea of justice that isn't real and is built on fucked upness. That's not a real political term. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, because it's an interesting thing. And I know that for Star Wars fans or just for people who like Star Wars in general, that's a difficult thing to accept because a redemption story is much more common. A big point in Star Wars is like, that no one is beyond saving. But I think characters like Syril, because there are other ones like him, characters like Syril who are beyond, like, what does it mean when you're in a universe where people are given a lot of grace and yet you still choose to be an ass? Like, what does it mean when you continuously choose wrong when you are given other opportunities? One could argue he's not given opportunities or whatever, but like, I think that would be interesting to be like, in a world where redemption is possible, what happens when some bitch doesn't because he sucks? What does that look like? That kind of thing. And and people are like, oh, I'd like him to be like a Callus or whatever. And to me, I'm like, I think that cheapens stories like Callus or something, because their story is supposed to be one that is brave and hard and rare. Kind of being of like, someone has to go against the grain, and Syril is the grain. I think that's and that's the thing. Like we're supposed to be showing that there are lots of people like him, and they help make the Empire happen.
No, I get you about that. Where like, yeah, not everyone needs to go down the same kind of like character arc of like, oh, I started off bad, now I'm gonna get redeemed. Because yeah, it does kind of feel like it like cheapens other characters like stories, or like makes them not as special anymore, because it's just like, well, now it's just like the same thing over and over again, which like that's not bad either, because sometimes they can be done very well, but I don't know, you know.
See, this is kind of an interesting difference that the Roop helpers have. It's not that I want to see Syril completely redeemed, absolved of all of his actions. I think I want to see him held accountable for them in a real, meaningful, and an obtainable way. And I think that this show is maybe one of the only Star Wars properties that I would trust to have some tact about it in a way that does not feel hollow, or just like as a MacGuffin. That's really like, that's kind of my beef with like in Rise of Skywalker when Hux just switches. Like, I think that there's narratively a lot of justification there where it's just like he is so wrapped up in his wanting to fuck over Kylo Ren that he's like, okay, fine, I'm a turncoat. But like for Syril, I think that there could be something there. However, and I said this in the video I made about it, I think he gets in his own way, because he has this sense of what is right and wrong, but he does not have the means to dismantle it. And or I guess even more in a larger sense, or like a more from a more feminist lens, I think it's a lot like Audre Lorde's the Master's tool will never dismantle the Master's house, where it's like he has this cop notion of justice and what is right and wrong, and he's never going to be able to escape that if he keeps using these same cop tactics through his life.
Has Tony Gilroy read Audre Lorde?
That's a great question. You might have listened to a podcast about her. Sorry. This is in that article, there was some interview he did where he was talking about the thing, like the research he did, and like you were saying, like he has like looked and took inspiration from different political revolutions around the world. He was like, yeah, I listen to a lot of history podcasts. I'm like, so true, King. Why was I like, you should listen to RuPaul's Pod Race? What history of what? The Beach from Old jokes?
Bad Batch.
History of annoying gay people who think they're really funny.
Has he read Bell Hooks?
Fuck no, sorry.
Yeah, no, he has.
I need him to read oh my god, give me 1 second. I think it's called The Will to Change. Yeah, The Will to Change.
Holy shit.
That is what Syril Karn needs to read. I'm gonna make a tweet about that.
Syril Karn or Tony Gilroy?
No, Syril Karn needs to read The Will to Change. Everyone should go read The Will to Change. But
do you guys think if Syril Karn listened to podcasts, he would be better?
No, because he'd be listening to the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he would. I think he'd be like, he's too crass.
He likes Andrew Tate better.
I don't agree. I think he'd say, oh, well, he thinks he's so much better than everyone else. But I could see him listening to someone like Ben Shapiro.
Okay, Charlie Kirk, perhaps?
Yes, exactly. That is what I'm talking about.
He's turning point. Abby?
Turning point.
Yep. Syril Karn.
He is obsessed with PraegerU. Are you kidding? He's reposting PraegerU memes all the time.
To step away from Syril Karn flakes, I wanted to talk a little about Mon Mothma again, or rather, I thought we had kind of stepped away from the Orientalism in Star Wars, but I don't know, Chandrilan culture. George Lucas, why did you do that? Why did they allow those outfits to come back? They could have not. There's something about the outfits they're all wearing in that little scene where it showed Mon and Perrin and Leia going to meet the other guy and his son. Where it's just like, no, nor.
It's kind of like when we see Mandalore in like the Clone Wars and stuff, and for some reason they're all white, and you're like, but they didn't need to be. And also, there's a lot of weird cultural influences for Mandalore as well. So, what's going on here?
Oh, are you talking about like in the Clone Wars when they go? Frick, what is the capital of like
Sundari?
Sindari, and then they're like there, and you see all the Mandalorians who are not wearing like their armor and stuff like that, and how they're all white and blonde kind of, and it's just like
It's a bit, even though we know not all Mandalorians are like that,
and I think
it's
like,
weird.
In comparing them, I almost feel like it does a disservice to what Jess is talking about, because I think like in that was just like,
that was just redlining. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry. Okay.
No, I
I was gonna say that it's more like a creator just completely not considering what the ramifications are and saying like, I want it to look like a Nordic country, and then being like, so we'll make them all white. And it's not saying like it's not even trying to have a bigger conversation about like who is like living in the capital, etc. It's literally just a dumbass with no cultural no cultural sensitivity considered. I feel like with this, it's very like, in terms of like Orientalism, it is definitely interesting how they are trying to set up Chandrila, because it's like, oh, they all wear these robes that are like, their traditional wear is clearly inspired by like a lot of East Asian garb, and they also have this strict religious sect, this strict traditional sense. It's just like, no, what is I'd love to know a bit more about why the influences for Chandrilan culture are the way they are.
Especially because, like, have we ever really like visited Chandrila?
We know Ben Solo was born there.
Well, yeah,
just in the books. Really.
Yeah, but have they ever like actually gone to Chandrila
on screen?
Like, no, not on screen, but like even in a book, like
in Aftermath, yes, because Leia and Han, like, they have an apartment there. They live on Chandrila because it's the capital of the New Republic until they move it to Hosnian Prime. But that's it as far as I know. And you know, it's a pretty multiracial society, at least in the city area. I mean, we talked about this before a little bit about like some of the race blind instead of race conscious casting choices, and things that were done and whatever, of like, especially since everything in the show is made as a purposeful choice. I know you guys did this as a purposeful choice, but that also means that you did not realize how that comes across. Like,
that's something I want to talk about as like kind of my main critique. And this feels more of like a wrap up thing, so maybe I won't go into super heavy detail about it. I'll talk about it in relation to this episode specifically. I think that maybe the weakest part of the writing of this show is the fact that, like, and it's not even the writing's fault as much as it is like casting, and also like I guess it is something to do with the writing of like the way that blackness is dealt with in this show is not great. And I think that, like, to me, it is very obvious that this show is being written by white people. And so, like, I don't know. This episode specifically, as soon as we saw, oh my god, I forgot his name.
Clem?
Not Clem. The little guy.
Nurchi?
Yes, Nurchi.
His neighbor?
His neighbor? Yeah, as soon as like that stuff began, the second we saw him in this episode, after the first one, I was like, oh shit, they're gonna make him a snitch. And like that, I was like, okay. Okay. Interesting that we've done this. I feel like a lot of the black characters in this show get to be are there only as a way to further the plot, but not in like a meaningful way where they truly get an arc. But like, these are the things we know about them. Nothing changes. They just get to die. That's it.
Like, Gorn is also used as like world building when they're like, oh yeah, like some people are, you know, this is why they join, and then they go,
yep,
or whatever. I was gonna say about like his neighbor. I don't remember what his name is. That was very off-putting for me because I'm a Lando stan first and a person second, and for the past, I don't know, 40, 50 years that Star Wars has been around, racist bitches have been like, Lando's a traitor for like all time, and then like you don't have that many black characters left living, and then you took that one to be the class traitor. I was like, come on, man, really?
Yeah.
This is like a mistake that they made in the 80s. You can do better with this. I know we were talking earlier about how Tony Gilroy did a lot of research and stuff, and I think that is a bit of the problem of like, he's done a great job. However, maybe he shouldn't have had to do research. I mean, yes, you should always do research for writing, especially if you're being political, no matter what you come from. However, what if we had people make things who didn't have to do research because it's from lived experience? That might be helpful in some way. I have to say he probably hasn't, experienced political struggle, but this is just something I was thinking of. It was just something I was thinking about.
I think it's just goes to show you need to have a diverse writing room, and you also need to have a diverse production crew in every facet, and not just in writing, but also in your costume and your character design, in your casting, in your cast itself, in your like in your producing, in your production. Like, all of it is important.
It's been a little troubling for me, especially a lot of us saw Wakanda Forever this week, and people have been talking a lot about Latino representation and versus Indigenous representation. Shout out to Tenoch Huerta. He is saying things that the girlies don't want to hear. Anyway.
So true.
Oh, he is angering the girlies. I love him so much. But the fact that, and I said this when the show was like announced, but I was like, the fact that the only Latino representation on the show is Diego himself, and then he's the only Latino voice that we know of, other than if there's people maybe at the executive level at Lucasfilm itself. He's the only like Latino voice behind this show. And he's the star and producer, but there's no other like writers or anything. And then there's Bix, and that's it. And I'm like, I thought we'd get a little more than that. We can save some of this for later. Although actually this kind of has to do with this last episode. It was hard for me because I really like this last episode. I really like what they did with Marva and all this kind of stuff. But then I kept thinking about the first episode where I was like, didn't she steal him? Like, and I was like, oh, maybe that's a dichotomy that we have to deal with. But then I read interviews with Tony Gilroy where he was like, yeah, I had a whole backstory planned of what happened on that planet, but then we cut the show down to 2 seasons instead of 5 or whatever, and we're not gonna have time to cover that. And I'm like, so we're just gonna leave it at she loved him a lot, but she stole him from his planet? Like,
yeah. I saw a really good thread on Twitter about someone who, as an adopted person, talked about like adoption narratives, and specifically this one, and how uncomfortable it made them. And once again, this I feel like is something we could definitely talk about more in our wrap-up episode, but I think that is something we should think about as people who mayhaps are not adopted, like how a narrative like that, a narrative that is so caked in violence, is like kind of brushed under the rug, like, oh well, anyways. Yeah. Do we have any final thoughts about this episode of Andor?
I liked a lot of the parts of this episode. I think that's my big takeaway, is that there were a lot of parts in this episode where I was like, oh my god, that's so slay. I feel like in terms of like as an episode itself, like I liked it. I thought it was a good finale. I feel like I don't have that much more to say. I have a lot to say in our like wrap-up episode, but I feel like it set things off in a good place. So like I don't feel like unsatisfied, which I think a lot of finales do. Like leave you in that sense of like, oh well, okay, like, and so like I feel like it's been resolved enough that I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm okay to wait for the next season, but I'm still like excited to see what comes.
See, I'm kind of in a different camp than you in that way, because it's not that I thought that this was a bad episode or finale. I just thought it was kind of mid. Like I was just like, okay. Like once again,
that
like you said,
kind of, sorry to interrupt. That was kind of what I was trying to say with a positive spin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like you said, like I'm not upset with it. I don't think it was a bad finale, but I was just like, oh, okay. See you in 2024.
It's a weird feeling, because we've been trained for something crazy to happen so that we'll want to keep watching, especially because TV takes so long to make now that it's gonna be a while until there's more TV. So like we're trained for like something crazy to happen so that we'd be excited. But then I'm also like, oh, I forgot this is how TV usually was. Like cliffhangers they didn't always do that. Like, but then I also am like, I was like, you knew that you had multiple seasons with this show. You didn't like, because sometimes they'll wrap up a show and it'll be kind of like, we don't know, kind of like how this was, because they don't know if they're going to get another season. But with this, it's like, you knew you had another season. Also, I didn't know that there was a after credit scene when I watched this with the screeners. So I didn't know until today when I went and watched it. And then I had a very different impression of the ending. So I was just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, we're leaving it on. All right, sign me up for the fucking rebellion, basically. I did not know that it would end with this kind of poignant end cap of like, hey, everything is leading to death. Or all of it is connected in this sort of way. I thought it was a good finale. I will be interested to see how this episode, or just in general, how it ages when you watch the whole show together. I feel like people are going to think of it differently. Not to compare it to a much worse show that we talked about before. It feels weird to compare it to this, but I feel like we had the same sort of chat when we talked about the Bad Batch season 1 finale, where we were like, this is a decent finale. But I'd be like, I can't really judge the first season yet because I need more. Which I think when we talked about it then, I said it was very similar to Rebels season 1, where it's a very, very strong season 1, but if you watch it on its own, you're kind of like, eh. But then you watch it later, you're like, damn, that's a good ass season 1. So yeah, but I thought, I mean, it had to do a lot of heavy lifting. So it did what it needed to do there. So for me, it's the dialogue and the monologues. I don't know, Tony Gilroy, you're really good at that shit.
Yeah, I fall into a similar camp with all of you, where it's like, it's good. I really enjoyed it. Like, but after last night when I watched it, I was like on a little high of like, wow. And then after like sitting with my thoughts today, I was just like, yeah, it's good. I did like the little like parallel to the first episode, basically, started on Ferrix, or like the first arc, I guess, rather. Started on Ferrix, ended on Ferrix, with like Caass-ian and Luthen like leaving. So that was a fun. It's like poetry and rhymes. Thanks for that. And I also was unaware of the cut scene, the end credit scene at the end. Like I finished it, I was like, oh, that was great. Immediately closed out Disney Plus, and our good friend Mackenzie, Mac to Reality, our Doc Ranch, was like, that end credit scene. I was like, hold on. Rushes back to Disney Plus. I was like, what end credit scene? And then Caass-ian and Melshi having a hand in kind of helping with the Death Star, which I feel like a lot of us like kind of figured like maybe these are going to be used for the Death Star.
I said it on this podcast because we were like, oh, what do you think they're building? And I was like, it's joints or support.
Didn't you also like say like at or like AT like parts 2 maybe also?
I think that was
Mel. Be so real. Mel said it, but I brought it onto the podcast in their stead. I always thought it was a Death Star. Just so you know, I'm not like an idiot who thinks it could.
Yeah, I'm a stupid fucking idiot moron.
Yeah, I'm not like a dumb stupid head who smells like a butt.
I just want it on record. I predicted it. I said it.
There's okay, but anyway, this is how director Orson Callan Krennic can still make an appearance maybe at the end of Andor season 2. Please, I want to see Ben Mendelsohn in another silly little cape. That's all I want.
Okay,
fuck Syril Karn. I want to see Ben Mendelsohn, Orson Krennic, please.
You know who I was also thinking about, like in season 2, I would kind of want to see in like a thing where it's like almost like how Mon is this season, where it's like, okay, of course it's like somewhat related to Caass-ian because they are aspects of each other's lives. I would love to see in the latter half of season 2, Mads Mikkelsen and Riz Ahmed. I kept on wanting to call him Bodhi Rook. So I was like, that's not his name.
If I got to see Bodhi again, that would be my Joker.
Just like seeing him get radicalized.
Oh, you can't put that thought into my head, please.
So that was just my kind of thought. Tony, if you use that, I'm sending this podcast to this episode of this podcast to the court.
Yeah, God, please don't send him. Please don't send them another episode. We have like some pretty nasty things we talk about. Like, don't send him the episode that has glory hole in the title, please.
Okay, I won't.
Or like anyone where we talk about loading great storms, cock and balls.
We did talk about glory holes in this episode too.
Oh no, that can't become our thing, guys.
Yeah, glory holes cannot be our new little jokey joke.
We didn't talk about how marching bands are canon in Star Wars now.
We can talk about that.
Okay. No. I do need to say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. One more thing. This was going to be my other gender this week was going to be geometric French horn, because the marching band instruments they had were so funny. For those of you who don't know, I work in a music shop. I do like band orchestra instruments for a living. Seeing them be like, this is like an interesting like Star Wars instrument. It's a fucking flute.
Yeah.
With the thing attached to it.
I was like glue flutes together.
I was like, that dude straight up just has a euphonium. I was like crying. I was like, this shit is so funny, because it's like there's one that's literally like a French horn, but it has like a conical bell instead of the regular brass bell. Like I was like, it was so funny.
They are assuming that the nerds who watch Star Wars are not marching band nerds, and they're incredibly wrong. Incredibly wrong.
It almost like, I will say, I was sad there was no one with like a space trombone. I would have liked to see that. And if they were in the background, if someone could DM me a picture, I would appreciate it.
Welcome to Name That Ship. This is a little segment on this podcast wherein one of the hosts has either scoured the internet, the dark reaches of AO3, specifically the Star Wars tag, to find some type of fan fiction that rouses some type of feeling, let it be positive or perhaps negative, and brings it to the other hosts to kind of make them, in a saw trap-like fashion, guess what this fan fiction is about, who is the main ship of this fan fiction, etc. This is not done in a hateful way. It's also, sometimes fics can be submitted by listeners. Sorry, I had to interrupt myself mid-sentence to say that. This is not done in a way that's like hateful to the authors. The craft of fan fiction is buck fucking wild. I respect the fuck out of people who write fan fiction, and specifically the people who write the fan fictions that we bring to this podcast. It takes a lot of creativity and imagination. And also, I'm just like, I'm so obsessed with your mind. Like, you're so powerful. For example, the fan fiction I'm bringing today. Are you all ready? Not gonna lie, Jess, this one might be a little confusing for you, but I know you can at least get half of it. Is that?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. This fan fiction is called Nothing to Lose and Everything to Gain. This is a crossover fan fiction. It's quite simple. It's just character A and character B. The tags are Force sensitive character B, canonical character death, badass motherfucker character B, pre a film in the Star Wars franchise, canon compliant for now, rare pairings, character A must be protected, character B gives 0 fucks, some plot, misuse of the Force.
So they're both Star Wars characters, or are they from this other
One
thing?
One of them is a Star Wars character, one of them is from this other thing. So the 3 things I guess you have to guess for me to be satisfied in my little jest is the ship, and also what this is a crossover of.
So you've also noted that this might be difficult for Chess. Just be like, Jess. Sorry, this may be difficult for Jess.
Yes.
So is this interesting? I'm just letting that inform my decisions.
Yeah.
My first thought was, it's supernatural related, but I'm assuming that is not the case.
Is it?
Assumption makes an ass out of you and me.
Is it supernatural?
Okay, but that is part of the game.
It is supernatural.
Supernatural. Dean Winchester.
No.
Sam Winchester.
No.
Castiel.
No.
Bobby.
Oh.
No.
John.
No.
Mary.
No.
Wait.
Who the fuck
Is this a man?
I never said that. No.
I said, is it
Supernatural?
It is a woman from Supernatural.
Is
so
it Rowena?
No.
is it Charlie?
No.
What the fuck? There are no
Oh.
other
What's Joe? Is it Joe?
No.
Eileen?
It's-
No.
Holy shit! We've guessed Eleanor Vale.
No.
We've guessed the entire female cast.
No, you
of
have
this
Claire
not.
show.
Novak?
No.
Is it an angel?
I don't
No
know.
one know. Is this so this is a woman.
Here, how about you guess the Star Wars?
Yeah,
characters?
that might be
help
easier.
inform.
Are they a Jedi?
No.
Are they force sensitive?
No.
A clone?
No.
Is it a man or a woman?
A man.
It's a man. Bounty hunter?
No.
Senator.
No.
Prequels era?
Not really.
So
Okay.
alive in the prequels era, but introduced in something else.
Yes.
Rebels.
No.
Rogue
Solo.
One.
Yes, Rogue One.
So this is pre-Rogue One.
Bodhi Rook.
Yes, it is Bodhi Rook.
Who the fuck are they shipping from Supernatural with Bodhi? Okay. Is this a character you know, Mel?
Because I listened to the Mystery Spotcast. Yes, it is a character I
Okay,
know.
so this has to be from season 1 or 2.
Is this from the Winchesters?
That's a secret I will never tell. No. No.
Oh. I was like, Lata?
I know, I was gonna be like, holy shit, the girls are fast. So this is a character from Supernatural, a female
Wait,
Supernatural character.
Cassie?
No.
Dean's first girlfriend?
Okay,
No.
is this a character that you know to be from the first 2 seasons of Supernatural?
TBQH? I don't know.
I know. Is it Meg?
It is Meg from Supernatural.
Oh, do we know which Meg? Is it
It
season
just says-
season
it
1
just
or
says-
2 Meg, or is it?
It just says Bodhi Rook / Meg Masters.
I have to know everything about
Wait,
this.
Meg
Also-
Masters demon. Does that help anything?
No.
She is a demon. She's always been a demon.
Okay, well, would you
Oh.
like to hear the summary of this fanfiction?
I have to know.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
just read the first
Holy
line
shit.
of this fanfiction. It's fucking hilarious. Holy shit. Wait, okay. Summary. Bodhi Rook has a run-in with a woman who seems like everything he is not. That is to say, fearless. She, Meg, disagrees. Wait, do you want to hear the first sentence of this fanfiction?
Yes.
Meg Masters ran her fingers across the spine of her friend. Wait. She has a leveler-esque creature with her.
No.
Hey, High Republic
On
authors.
a road vacation.
No,
Meg
because
Masters.
I'm just saying, hey, High Republic authors, I'm coming to you with a lawsuit because this was written in 2017. What is the truth?
No.
Marta Rowe based on a fan fiction of Meg Masters, not clickbait.
Holy shit. I need to know. It's so important to me to know which season Meg this is. It's so fucking important.
Wait, is the Force-like creature Sam?
No.
The
Okay,
leveler-
that was Ruby, not Meg.
Wait, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Wait, can you send this to me or Ollie so that we can
Yeah,
decipher
of
this?
course. Anyways,
Gosh.
sorry,
Also-
Jess. I thought this was gonna be funny for you.
I have
Whoa.
no idea what's happening. I'm just
Ow.
like here,
Okay,
like the scared
Jess?
little monkey puppet.
Jess, I will explain to you. So in the first 2 seasons of Supernatural, the first like major demon who is a recurring character is this woman named Meg, and she's kind of a silly little guy. But she's kind of all over the place. And there's not a lot of female characters, so like when she shows up, there's a lot going on with her. There's 2 actors, at least 3 maybe, who play her.
This is season 1 Meg. She does have short blonde hair in this fanfiction.
This actor also just died.
I was just gonna say, yeah, shout out to Nikki Acock. She did just pass away like this week.
R.I.P. in
So-
peace.
Yeah.
This is a Marva-sized brick to the head. God, mine is not as funny as that, but it's
It's probably gonna be
silly.
funny to other people.
It's Silly Willy, okay? It doesn't have a lot to do with Andor, but I think it's Silly Willy. So the fic I'm bringing today, it was submitted to us for me by an anonymous person. They did not tell us. The fic is called Cabinets and Refrigerators and Other Things That Aren't Human. It's rated teen and up, and it involves it's just one ship, and the relationships are okay. It's one ship and then a third character. If I give you the third character, it will give it away. So, So we have character A and character B. Character B is the character I can't give you. Character B and character C. And then the main ship, which is character A/character C. The characters are character A, character C, character B, the armorer, and Grief Karga.
Okay, so is one of them Dinjarin?
Yes.
Okay.
Character A is Dinjarin. I will also say additional tags. Alternate universe modern setting. Alternate universe FBI. IKEA. Slice of life. Good parent Dinjarin. Character C needs a hug.
Is one Grogu?
Yes, Grogu is character B. He's the third character.
So now explain the IKEA tag to me.
Din's never been to an IKEA in his life. But his
and the feds get involved?
But his apartment needs to be baby-proofed or whatever, so here he is. Character C has never been to an IKEA either, for most of the same reasons. But Din suspects that they're tagging along for the sheer entertainment factor, and that's why they're here. The alien baby strapped in the child seat. Now, Grogu still being human is still not being human. It's still very funny to me. The alien baby strapped in the child seat is mostly just here because Din doesn't trust them not to blow up his apartment with their weird alien powers. It'll be fine. Oh, they, them, Grogu. Okay,
Is this a man or a woman that Dinjarin is going to IKEA with? Okay.
It's a woman.
Is this someone that's like, I don't know. I know
from Star Wars?
He is a Star Wars character and is not someone who is traditionally shipped with Dinjarin and is not from The Mandalorian.
Okay.
But are they in live action?
Yes.
Riva. Yes! Or is it someone... Are you for real? I just said
We can't hear what Claudia's saying.
Klaudia just... Oh my fucking god. I just said that because I thought who would be the funniest person to ship with Dinjarin? Holy fucking shit.
So is it romantic? It is!
Klaudia, we can't hear you.
You sound like you're getting... You sound like you're like...
So... that's interesting. I don't know if I support that.
It is Dinjarin says Viva Savander go to IKEA. I do need to look and see.
I mean, they would be like the
FBI
same...
comes in here. I think she's a part of the FBI.
They would be like the same age too.
Riva, why are you part of the feds?
Okay, here's the thing.
I'm shocked. I feel like I received that in a vision. That was scary.
I did Control F FBI, and it doesn't come up anywhere else other than in the tags.
I mean, they're just like us. They're normal people. That's why they're so scary.
Oh, okay. I think she is a FBI agent because there's like a whole like side thing that's like kind of a flashback. The first time the kid powered up had been right outside of Santa Fe. I think it's giving like,
so he's like,
it's giving the X-Files a little bit.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, American Southwest, let's go.
I do believe that it's giving Area 51 Grogu. I think he like found him, crashed from a UFO, and then he told his friend Riva about it.
Paul A.U. Holy shit.
And Din's like, I don't know what children need, let alone and like Tara and Riva and Karga, they're like all just his like buds. Okay,
that's
like, where does the FBI play in this?
That's fucking insane. How the fuck did I'm shocked at the fact that was like
also the kindergarten is called the Children of the Watch, I think. Like there's a lot. We've had a couple one-shots on this podcast, but that was a crazy one. I was like, they're never gonna get this one.
No.
Thank you so much for joining us this week for Roop Helps Pod Race. For updates, Star Wars news, our reactions to High Republic Phase 2, and more curse shit, follow us on social media at Roop Helps Pod Race on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and because Twitter, might be dying, our new Tumblr. Want to ask us a question? Send us a question to our TikTok Q&A, Tumblr Ask Box, or email us at roophelpspodrace@gmail.com. And if you really love the show, please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, or Overcast, and tell a friend who might be interested. It really helps the show. And as we said before, we'll be taking a look at all of Andor Season 1 next week, and then probably talking about Tales of the Jedi and the High Republic Phase 2 and lots of other fun things in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that, and may the Force be with you, and don't kriff it up.
Waka waka.
Waka waka.
The only thing we have to lose is our chains.
So true.
And Noah, because he's not here.
Workers of the world, the only thing you have left to lose is your chains and Noah.